Good morning, everyone. Where's the little camera thing? Oh, it's over here. Okay, hi. So welcome to Something Saturday. It's a bit chilly over here today. I thought today I might show you how to do reverse stamping or mirror image stamping. Because I had a couple of ladies talking about it the other day, and I was showing them one of the other cards that I've made with it. So I thought, oh well, you know what, that would be quite a good thing to do a video on. I'm wondering why there's a bright light behind me. Maybe I should just sink down like this. Anyway, yes, moving on from the bright light, distracting bright light behind me. And the other thing I thought I would also show you is perspective, because it works into the card that I've created. So I'm just going to swap the screen around. And we will move up here. Onto here. Ooh, look at that. That's almost right. Almost. Not quite. That'll do. All right, so this is the card that I've created to show you today. So the goat comes like that, but I really wanted to mirror the goat and have the goat sort of standing in the mirror looking at herself going, oh, aren't I gorgeous, aren't I beautiful? And then so once I'd done that and mirrored the goat, I then thought, oh, what am I going to do? And, you know, I drew up the mirror, and then I looked around at it and thought, oh, it's all a bit blank. So then I thought, well, I'll add like weatherboarding behind it. And then I thought the goat ought to be in flowers, and I have this gorgeous poppy stamp. So I thought, well, it's Anzac Day, that's kind of appropriate. So there we go. So that's the card I'm going to show you how to make today. So what do we do first? Excuse the fact that I've actually got this bit of paper. I have pre-stuck my piece of paper down onto this, because to do perspective, you actually have to pick a point over here and then make lines going from that point. However, first of all, I want to stamp the goats so that I know where I want to put my mirror. Right, so to do the goats, I'm going to do the reverse goat first. And I'm using just a piece of, so this is one of the cellophane things that I put my cards into. So you want to make sure that you have a fairly juicy ink pad, because if it doesn't have enough ink on it, the ink is not going to transfer across. So I'm using the Memento Black for doing this. And I want to get it stamped, so then you stamp it directly onto the piece of cellophane. Okay. Now, it might dry out slightly, so what you then do is you huff on it. So let me... So huff on it and then pop it down. So obviously I'm not putting it the surface that I stamped it. So you can see that the stamp is actually that way round. I'm putting it this way round, and then I'm just rubbing it down. So you just have to make sure that you rub it all over, because otherwise you'll miss a bit. And then I'm just going to hold on to it. There it is. So I've found that that is probably the cleanest way I've got of getting the image on there. Oops. And I didn't actually want to do that with that. Never mind. Okay, so I'm going to re-ink it. I'm actually going to stamp it off once, because it tends to end up a little grayer. And I want this to be approximately the same height, because it's going to be mirror imaged. There we go. So the one in the mirror is slightly fuzzy compared to the other one. And some of the other ones I've done, they haven't ended up fuzzy. I'm just looking for them. What did I do with them last night? Oh, there they are. See, now there's one. So I guess it is slightly fuzzy. Those two are mirror imaged, these two aren't. Bit of a sneak peek there of one of the new ones, new sets. And the other one I did was this one here with the birds. So I actually can't tell which one the mirror image is. I think it's this one here that's the mirror image on that one. It looks slightly grainier. Okay, anyway, now that we've got to that point and I've managed to dirty up the edge of my thing, which is fine because it's not going to matter. So we're going with it's not going to matter because I'm going to be able to cover it up. All right. So we then want to start getting our perspective into point. So I'm going to... yeah, I'm going to start off with a point over here. So just going to draw myself a line on my scrap paper, and I'm using pencil to begin with because I just think if I use pencil then it's going to give me a sense of sort of where I want to be with it, but it's not going to sort of overwhelm it and you know, then I can't correct it at all. So I want my mirror. So where the two parts cross there is your point that you're going to be using. So, and the other lines that you want to use are going to be straight up and down. So let's just pop that into there. Where's my rubber? Just make sure that's going to be... I always find it best if you've got a rubber that you actually just make sure that all the gunk and dirt is off it, the part that you want to use first of all. Otherwise you're going to end up with nice little marks on your card. Okay, that worked well. There we go, got it. And so the good thing with this grid paper is that that because I've got the grid paper, I can just go, well, I know that's going to be a straight line because I know that this is a straight line. So I'm going to go with it being about there. There we go. So I think I'm happy with that placing as the mirror. So that just means now that I can colour it in. Let's find a appropriate looking pen. I'm going to go with my Early Espresso pen this time. And it's going to go over that and that one. And so now you'll notice that I've given the mirror a little bit of a lip at the side there. So you just want to add it so it goes out on the side. And down there, and then all I've done is just squiggled. Try not to go into the mirror at all. There we go. So that is now my mirror, and I have no idea what I've got there, so I think that would be a good place for a line to go. Then I need to decide, so I've got this one, so she's standing in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and add a corner. Let's see. I wonder if I should just put the mirror down to the floor line. Nah, I'm going to put the mirror slightly out of the floor line, so I'm just going to draw to about there. I reckon that's where I'm going to put the corner. Okay. Go ahead and do that. So obviously you don't want to draw over the goat's legs. and then we're going to create the corner part. So let's go down there, 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 and there. And these, so the lines that are going to be on this side are all going to be straight lines across. So again, we're going to use our grid paper just to make sure that those lines come out straight. So there's one there. So it's not quite as much of a change as the other one, I don't think, but that's fine. Okay, so where do I want it all to go? So I'm going to draw the lines onto this side first, and then you line up your ruler with this little section here, and you bring it to the point where you want it to line up with the side, and you literally just draw that in. So it'll end up like that. And the perspective will actually, by doing it this way, it will put it into the right perspective for you. And that was really silly to put my ruler down below. So that's okay. We'll do it this way. So I'm lining up with the grid lines below again, just to draw that part on. And then I'll go back to this pivot point, and so my line is going to be about there. So this time, oh no, I have to remember that point. It's weird when you do this, because you look at it and you go, oh, I'm not sure that that's quite right, but it ends up working out right at the end, if that makes sense. Then okay, so the next line up, I'm just going with 2 of the squares on this. So that's my next line, and I need to go back to my pivot point. And wherever the line would finish and coincide with this one is where you want it to end up. So it's about there, about there. Obviously, don't draw on your goat. We have a saying in our household, because of course we used to have goats. So so we kind of know about goats, but we just have a little saying that's whatever floats your goat, rather than your boat. Then, so that's the line there, and you want to come down there to about there. It's actually not as complicated as it looks, really, especially once you've got grid lines behind you. It actually makes it so much easier. So we're just going to add that line into there, and take that, go to there, up there, and one more. There, and I hope this is still running, because we've been having all sorts of internet issues recently. I've tried to do this video a couple of times, and every time I start it, it then goes, oh, and we're finishing it. And I just go, no, I don't want you to finish it. And then it tells me that it has no internet, so bless it. All right, so I reckon that's good for the weatherboarding behind there now. So I'm happy with that. And we need to, so we can probably now persuade that back off there. So I just had stuck it down really lightly with a bit of tape, but it won't matter too much that it's got a little bit sticky on the back and things. Okay, So now we can colour our goat in. Where's my goat colour? Oh, that one. I don't remember which one I used. This one here was the one I used. Okay, so you just want to add similar colour in the same sort of spaces. Just work out so that it's sort of mirror images each time. Give her a little bit of a brownie coloured tail, some hooves. Oh, hopefully I'm in the middle of the screen here. Might just give her a bit of a, which side did I use? This side here, there. And a little bit on her ear. There we go. And I also want a little bit darker colour for her horns. There we go. Bit of a technical thing today. So then I added some of these. So I have made up a mask, that's the word I'm after, for my goat, so that the ones that I want to put behind her actually go behind her. So let's see, I have been using the Poppy Parade because I thought that was kind of appropriate for poppies. Let's just ink that up, and we actually want some poppies in front of her, so I'm just going to add some. Oh no, I didn't use Poppy Parade when I inked it. When I did it, I actually used the Memento. Marvellous. Okay, give me one moment. What have I done with my cleaner? There it is. So just going to grab out my cleaner. It looks really dirty, but actually this gets washed quite regularly, and it just, it keeps some of the ink on it. It does get dirty, but watch this. So all I've done there is just tapped it on, and it's completely clean. It's got a little bit of dirt on it, but not much. So you just kind of, so all this is, it just damps down with water, and then you squeeze it out a little bit and you leave it damp, and it sort of clings off the dirt for you, and then you end up with a nice clean stamp afterwards. So I'm very impressed with it, in case you hadn't gathered. All right, now I'm going to get rid of the Poppy Parade now, because I actually don't really want to stamp them in Poppy Parade. I want to stamp them in Memento Black. That was really silly of me. Let's see if I can line it up again. I would highly doubt that I can line it up, but you never know. Oh well, that's all right. It'll be fine. They're a bit funny looking anyway, so not really a major issue. Now, I did want... So it was this goat that I wanted to mask. So I stamped the goat, obviously, the other way round. But I do want to add... That was the other thing I did. Okay. So as I want the flowers to go into the mirror, I'm just going to mask off the edges of the mirror so that the flowers are slightly more authentically looking like they're in the mirror. So let's just re-ink that, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. There we go. So now it looks like the flowers actually are inside the mirror. All right. That looks okay. All right. So then what I've done, because I've used Memento Black, it does mean that I can't then use my normal marker pens on it. So I can't use the Stampin' Right markers because it will make the colour bleed, the Memento bleed. but you can use the alcohol blends, so the stamping blends. So I've just gone with my dark Poppy Parade, and really roughly I'm just colouring these in, so you'll notice that all I'm doing is literally squiggling over them. So hopefully that'll just make it so that they blend into the red ones that I managed to accidentally stamp first. That's not too bad. Hope nobody's watching this and going, oh my goodness, what the heck is she doing? That looks terrible. And just colour in the flower that the goats got, because you know, we'll just make it out that the goat has nicked a poppy and eating it. So the other thing that I have done is these lines, I've just roughed them up a little bit, because you know, when you have weatherboarding, it's not perfect. So all I'm doing is just sort of roughly going back over these lines. It's just very rough. That just makes it so it doesn't look quite such perfect lines. Nobody has perfect lines anywhere. There we go. All right. Then, round the edges, especially because I've now got a mark up the top there, I have used a spot of blending. Now let's find the right... there we go. I thought I'd go a little bit darker with this one, so I'm going to use the Early Espresso rather than the crumb cake, not crumb cake, soft suede that I was using. So initially I'm just going to edge it. So when you edge it, you're just holding the card in the air and sort of flicking the colour around the edge of it. You'll see as I put it down that you can actually see that edging now. And then I kind of like having a bit of a smoky edge, so I'm just going to take these and just sort of smoke it around the edge. If your ink pad has heaps of ink on it and you do this and then you put it straight onto your card, you're going to end up with a big lumpy bit. So just tap it off a little bit and then go onto your card with this. That way it will end up without sort of extra lines on it. It's going to go down into the corner there as well. There we go. So now I know what I have the red for, because I have used the red around the corner, the edge of my card. So give me one moment just to grab the card out. So, oh, sorry, just knocked that. Let's put everything out the way. Oh, you can go out the way too. That's what I'm looking for, my Poppy Parade Dauber. All right, so I'm just going to do the same thing with the edge of this card. Lots of little scratching sounds like a mouse. Oh my goodness, thinking of mice, Tom was telling me when I got home from work last night that he and the cats, so we have, well, at that point in time there was 2 cats that were inside. There was a mouse that just sort of ran from the kitchen through the house And the cats just ignored it. Apparently all they did was they sort of like lifted their heads, looked at it and went, not really our cup of tea, that sort of thing. So somewhere in our house we have a mouse. I can't believe that. They're such lazy cats. I did look at them last night and said, well, what do we keep you for then? And they kind of looked at me, and I think their answer was, what, you don't, what, you keep us? I thought it was just like your privilege. Now, the other thing that I've done is I've actually created this saying. So, you're the goat, greatest of all time. And I have cut it out with this. It might not look like I've cut it out with this, but I will show you how to do it. So, I keep moving that around. So we need the goat saying, and we need the Early Espresso ink. So you're the goat, greatest of all time. And we stamp that to begin with. There we go. Get rid of the excess. And get rid of the ink pad. Excuse the fact that I have old ink pads and new ink pads. One day I will get around to updating all my ink pads, but that hasn't happened yet. So you're just going to layer this into here where you think it's going to work. So there we go. So I've just cut out that much of it at the moment, but obviously I would quite like it to look the same all the way round. So that is where this comes into action. I'm just going to rip that in half and attach that onto the back. So it's just a sticky note. And I'm going to pop that back into there. And this is the part where I definitely need the glasses because I have to line it up. I reckon it's going to work about there. So I don't know whether you can see this, but there are little bits on the edge here. Little sort of scallopy bits, and I want to line those up, so I'm just going to start to close my punch very slightly so that I can make sure, and I keep moving it. There we go, that's lined up on out both sides. Try not to pinch your skin in it as it goes down. That was what the little ouch was about. It's not too bad. So that's my little punched saying. And then I'm just going to grab my Early Espresso and just give it a bit of a thing around the outside. And because I know that I used white instead of vanilla, I'm also just going to grab my soft suede and give it a little bit of a colour up. That way it doesn't look quite so white on my vanilla background, because my vanilla cardstock is currently in the classroom, and that's entirely my fault, but there you go. So I reckon I could potentially cover some of these up. And look, you can't see that mark anymore, so bonus. And just going with a bit of dimensional along the edge here. Pop a few of these on because I want it to stick up right. I reckon that'll do us. Alright, so I'll just press that down. Another thing that you can use to take the backing off is one of the pin tools, which I also don't have any of those in here because they're also in my classroom. I really need to transfer things back. But there you go, haven't done so yet. So that can now sit hopefully in the right spot on there. There we go. And I also want to pop this one up on dimensionals too. So let's grab 1, 2, I might just put 3 on. There we go, 3 dimensionals on the back of this one. 2, 3, and you're the goat. Love that saying. You're the goat, the greatest of all time. So now I can get rid of my messy underneath bit. And oh, look at that. This has stayed nice and clean. Excellent. So there you go. So that is how you do a mirror image and you do the perspective. So just a quick recap on how to do the mirror imaging. I will just quickly show you on this paper again. So you need a nice juicy ink pad. Where's my nice juicy ink pad gone to? What the heck have I done with it? It was there just a second ago. Nice juicy ink pad and a piece of thing. I'll just clean that off because I can still see the goat image on there. It does just wash off, you know, I've just got a really grotty looking piece of tissue there and I've just wiped it off. So all you're going to do is ink it up, make sure it's well inked, turn it over, stamp it onto there. Now make sure that it doesn't squidge around, because if it squidges around you're going to get a less than perfect image on there. Then huff, just gives it that little bit of moisture that it needs, and then rub it down. So if you hold on to one side of it, you'll find that if it hasn't gone down as much as you'd like it to, then you can actually just put it back down again and go over it again. So there you go. That is how you're going to do that image. And just rub off the excess on there. And these are nice and cheap. All it is just a bit of cellophane. So let's pop that away, that away, that away, and bring that back into the picture. So there's my 2. So obviously I've added a few more poppies on there. Could have done that, but you know, I'm quite happy with the way it's turned out here. So hopefully you've enjoyed this, and feel free to share it. So share the love, and do come and join me next Saturday for something new. Thanks. Bye.